the basic overarching rule is that we want to make sure that if Branson funds are being used to pay for an event or vendor or a program, we treat all those funds the same way, whether it's done through me or a staff member, faculty member, or the PA. We also want to let the PA know that we are here to help get, take a lot of the kind of excess burden off of you in terms of getting contracts from vendors and W-9s and all of that. We're happy to chase those things down. We don't want you spending your time doing that. So just as a reminder, we have a how expenses are paid guide, and Angela will send this out, or I'll send this out afterwards, and you can just click on this and get a kind of a more detailed explanation of how to get things paid at Branson. And again, comments are always welcome. We want to keep these policies and processes as simple as possible. So basically there are two types of events, right? There are Branson events or programs where Branson funds are being used. And then there are what we're calling private events, where there are no Branson funds being used, but it is a Branson event in terms of it's a private event that the PA has planned or some parents have planned, et cetera. So, and a Branson sponsored event, again, is anything that where Branson funds are being used or flow through to vendors, et cetera. So the board a while ago, and this isn't a David Hanson rule, this is the board rule. If a contract needs to be signed, the only two people authorized to sign them on behalf of the school are the CFOO and the head of a school. I try and keep a lot of that off of Chris's plate just because she's so busy doing other things. So I generally am the one that is going to be signing most of the contracts for the school. And again, this is a board rule that predates me and was started when Chris took over his head. If a vendor is new, and we sent a list of pre-approved vendors, Angela and David, I think I sent it to both of you. Did I send it to both of you? So we have a list of pre-approved vendors where we already have a W-9. It's a really lengthy list, and Mackenzie went through and kind of coded by type of vendor. So you can take a look at that. Vendors on the list, you're done. We don't need a W-9. If it's a new vendor that you want to bring on, we can't pay them without a W-9. And we're happy to do the legwork at, calling them and tracking that down and making sure they understand that they need to do it. And then from there, it's, emailing the vendor invoice after the contract is signed to the PA treasurer, David, and he will pay the invoice. We no longer will pay on the day of for services, unless there's a real special case and special exemption. And again, all of these policies have the carve out of, if there's a special case or an emergency, we're absolutely going to work with you to make that happen. But we prefer not to do day of checks. From a process point of view, it's sort of out of the norm, and it has to all be done manually. So what we like to do is we run all of our payments for every vendor, for payroll, for everything, every Thursday. So anything you get to us by Wednesday will go in the following day's payment issue. And we do that through a third party called Paymerang. They send out checks a couple days later. For vendors that want to get paid right away, we would prefer to set them up on ACH. So if it's a vendor that we're going to use even just 1 or 2 times a year, let's get, we will do that. The business office will help get them put on ACH so they get paid immediately as soon as we issue the payment to the payment vendor. So we would prefer that we have a receipt for every purchase that's made. And we know that sometimes that's hard. If you go in an event and you pay for parking, or you tip a bartender, or you tip someone, it's going to be done in cash. So, there's a de minimis exception of under $25. We're not going to ask you for a receipt for something like a tip or a taxi payment or valet payment, something like that. But otherwise, we'll do all those reimbursements for payments that are due on the same cycle every Thursday. So just get them into us by Wednesday and you should be good to go. Couple other just miscellaneous issues. We obviously don't need a contract for major vendors. We're not, every time you buy from Amazon, we're not going to ask you to get a contract from Amazon. All we really need is the proof of payment. So, a screenshot from Amazon or Costco or a paper receipt whatever's easiest for you to send. In the next year, I want to move us to a new reimbursement platform called Concur. And I think David has used this in the past and is also a supporter of it. It makes things much, much easier. It's just very, very simple to send receipts and track expenses. And so that will be coming. But really what we need is just proof of purchase. So if you have issue with getting receipt from Costco or Target or Walmart or Amazon, call us and let us know, and we'll help chase it down for you. So let's do a couple just examples of things that you might be planning. So food truck is a big one because we know that kids love food trucks. So the kind of flow would be if a PA reaches out to a food truck, and I don't care which one you want to use, that's totally up to you. And if you reach out for a quote or a contract, great. If they don't have a contract, I have a really simple one that we use at Branson's, page and a half, really straightforward. I can send that to them and take care of it. I took care of a few this week, just different vendors that didn't have contracts, so we gave them ours. And again, if they don't have a W-9 on file, we need to get one of those, and we can track that down for you. We can make that as easy as possible. And then the same process. So you get the food truck, you have the event, send the invoice to Dave, the treasurer, for submission, and then we pay every Thursday. So it's pretty simple. So I want to keep it kind of as simple as we possibly can. Now, with regard to cash payments, what I really want to get away from, if we possibly can, is the use of cash in transactions for events. And I know sometimes it's really impossible, right? I know some, especially people who work on the gig economy, they like to get paid in cash. They like to be paid the night of. To the greatest extent possible, we want to shift away from that, simply because it becomes an audit issue. And when you pay someone in cash, we need to have some kind of proof of payment. So, the night of an event, just write down on a piece of paper who you paid, when you paid, have them sign it, keep it pretty simple. But we do have to have the proof of payment to show that a cash payment occurred and that we are comfortable with it and we are going to reimburse properly. So that is the quick presentation. I will stop sharing and allow folks to ask questions. Again, the overarching themes are, we want to take some of the burden off of your plate. We want you to focus on the fun stuff, the good stuff, the stuff that impacts the kids, and leave kind of the red tape stuff to us. And then we just want to make repayment and reimbursement and payment to vendors as simple and easy as possible.
There's a question in the chat. I don't know if you can look at that, but regarding vendors, David mentioned that he has sent us a list of preferred vendors. What we're doing right now is actually assigning categories to them, and we'll be posting that on the PA tile in My Branson. So if you are looking for a vendor, like photographer or whatever, we hope to provide you with kind of a starter list so you can at least look at those and know that we have a W-9 on file for those. You're not tied to using them. If you want to use a vendor that's not on that list, all you have to do is email the business office, David or Mackenzie, and they can help obtain a W-9 for you so that you can use that vendor. So maybe within the next week, we hope to post that preferred vendor list for you to make it easier. So that is one quick way to kind of just check. And so, David, I don't know if you can address that question in the chat.
Yeah, so Takalicious, Mackenzie, I don't know if you can quickly check to see if they are on the approved list. And I don't like to use the word approved list because it's not like we're approving these vendors. Like Angela said, you can use anyone you want. It just means that we have a W-9 already. So like Takalicious, I can reach out to them. We can get their W-9. So that way, when you do the event, again, we already have it. It's not a big deal. If they don't have a contract and they want to use one, I'll create one for them. We have a template that our lawyers have drafted, really simple, very straightforward. I used it this week with a DJ who I had to track down. I think I woke him up a couple of times at 11 a.m. when I called him, but that happened with DJs. So yeah, we can check into Takalicious.
David, I'm wondering if you can kind of distinguish like the scenario where, you're a team parent and you're going to a restaurant and you're picking up food so that you can cater the event versus like, when is it a vendor?
That's my question too. When is it David Kleintobe and when is it David Hanson?
Yeah, so restaurants are kind of a separate category because no one in their right mind would go to a restaurant and say, hey, we have to have a contract with you and an invoice with you and a W-9 from you. So that let's just kind of take restaurants out of the mix. If you all want to do a fun pizza night at an event and you want to go get 100 pizzas, just make sure you get the receipt. I mean, that's the bottom line. Just get the receipt for that purchase, pay for it however you're going to pay for it, credit card, cash, Zelle, Venmo, etc. And just make sure we have that receipt. So that's what we really need is just proof of payment in some kind of written form. And if it's a vendor that doesn't give receipts, like if it's a food truck that doesn't have like an automated receipt process, we just need something in writing. So just, scribble down on a page, hey, Tacolicious bought 100 tacos, $55, $60, paid on, January 24th. And that will satisfy us for audit purposes.
So you need to get them to
David?
sign? Oh, sorry. I just want to make sure. I mean, is it enough for us to write that? You have to get a signature from them that they delivered and we paid, right?
Best practice is to get the vendor to actually attest to the payment, but we trust all of you. We're not going to double, second guess. So if you forget to do it the night of, send me an email the next morning and say, hey, I paid this vendor last night by cash. Here's the amount I paid. I trust you. And we're not going to question it. We just need something in writing that shows our auditors that, yep, we issued a check for $500 because a parent paid a vendor $500 for XYZ.
And just to follow up, there was a question whether or not when we do payments by Venmo or PayPal, is a screenshot sufficient as proof of payment? And what we were told was that that wasn't sufficient. So I just wanted to kind of, if you can kind of just, because it does come up where we pay by PayPal or Venmo. So what constitutes like a real receipt?
So ideal scenario is we don't pay in cash. We let Branson pay that vendor, right? So that's kind of the fallback. We want to pay vendors directly so that there's no question about them getting paid on time, etc. But exceptions happen, and we understand that. And last minute things come up, and hey, maybe you planned an event, and it just things happen that led you to have to issue $1,000 payment to a vendor in Venmo. Take a screenshot, send it to me. I'm not going to question you. It's proof enough that you did it. It's going to show your account. It's going to show the amount. It's going to show the person or vendor you sent it to. So if I have any questions, I'll follow up in an email and we'll clarify it and go from there. Again, we want to make this as simple as possible. You all are so busy and you do so much that if we can take some of this stuff off of your plate, we're happy to do it. And it's better for audit purposes if we step in and do some of this stuff.
David, I mean, now that we're talking about someone can handwrite a receipt, for example, if it can't be provided, then closely related to that, I feel like I've had a few instances where a parent rep has lost the receipt.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We have a lost receipt form, Jamie. So, that does happen. It happens even with, our fearless warrior, Chris Mazzola. Sometimes she loses receipts. So we have a lost receipt form. And that way we can show the auditor that, hey, something happened. They lost the receipt. It's just an accident. It's half a page. Mackenzie can send it to you. And that way we have a record on file of what happened. So if an auditor looks back 12 months from now and we can't find a receipt for something, we have that on file that you've signed. It takes care of the problem.
Great.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
I just looked. I'm asking, like, as a team parent a team parent role. There's the reimbursement in terms of it's very clear what $15 a person or $30 for a family or something at a party, right? So, two questions. One, I looked online because I'm going to have to do this soon. And it says, there's one that says Branson reimbursement request form, and there's one that says PA reimbursement request form. So for an athletic team party, which one do you use?
It depends on who is funding it. So if it's athletics, then it would be like if Francis is approving it, then that needs to go through the Branson reimbursement form. If it's PA and Dave is going to be approving it, then it goes through the PA reimbursement form.
Actually,
So How do I know?
so
It's
Linda,
an end of season party.
yeah,
I
so
don't know.
the end of season parties are actually funded by the Parents Association. So that gets submitted as a PA reimbursement. You might have a bucket for senior gifts, but that actually, I know it's confusing, that actually goes through Francis. And so that is not a PA,
Oh, okay.
not a
Okay.
PA thing. So that's how you distinguish. Like if you're a team parent, make sure you submit the receipts for your team celebrations under the PA reimbursement. It
Okay.
gets sent to us, but senior gifts are Francis's. So that would
And
go
then,
through Branson.
okay, so then when you do the sports, like an end of season sports reimbursement, and you have the allowance, do you write the, like, how many people were there, et cetera, and then submit the receipt from wherever it is you're getting the food, even though it probably isn't going to match? I'm just curious. You know, usually it's more, right? So I just am wondering how to do it. I actually don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I think the
Right way
amount,
to do it.
I used to have that role last year, so the amount per person is more of a budgeting guideline. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, your receipt is your receipt for what it costs.
Oh, is that true? Oh, okay.
Am I,
Is that right?
Angela, you had the
Maybe I'm
role the
wrong.
year
I don't
before me.
know.
Yeah, so basically, what we do is, the receipts often don't match. Sometimes they're under, sometimes they're above, but usually the
Yeah.
reimbursed amount is up to whatever guidelines that we have shared with you. So in this case, it's
Yeah.
15 per student or 30. So in the comment section, there should be a little note in that form. You can just say we had X number of families attend times $30. So we are asking for a reimbursement of this. And
Okay. Okay.
if you find that, other people are covering, or they want to have it as a gift to Branson,
Mhm.
then I don't know, David, if you can address how we handle like gifts or donations or things that exceed.
Yeah, I mean, you as parents are so generous, and oftentimes, you pay out of pocket for various things, and we're so grateful. But I've also learned since I'm in my 4th year that parents often do this and then don't follow up and tell us about it. That's a gift to the institution, and you should get credit for that, and you should get a gift receipt, and you should get, the appropriate tax treatment. We want to thank you in a formal way for that. So if you run an event and the PA has budgeted for 300 and you spend 500, we want to issue you a $200 gift receipt. It's only appropriate, and it makes us feel better, and it allows us to thank you in a more formal way.
Okay. Thank you. Super helpful, because I didn't know what to do. So thanks.
Yeah, and always, Linda, like if you have a question like that, just call me. My mobile phone is on my email signature block. I think one in Marin County has it, so you can call me anytime.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Oh, David, I have a question. It's more specific to the Safe and Sober grad night that Kirsten and I are working on. The Mill Valley Community Center was supposed to reach out to you guys for a credit card for payment. I'm just wondering if that happened, because they've been hard to track down.
They are hard to track down.
Thank you.
Mackenzie, can you double check on that? We have a couple events going on there, and they also get confused about events. So we have like a winter formal coming up, and yeah, we've had some issues dealing with them, but Mackenzie's going to check right now to make sure that we've paid that deposit.
Thank you. Okay.
Is this, all I have written down on without looking in the contract is the date is 6/4, June 4th, is that it?
That seems early to me.
Sorry,
but
no, I believe it's wait, sorry, I'm getting my Ross School graduation confused. June 5th. Branson grad night is Wednesday, June 5th.
Oh, yes, sorry, June 5th to June 6th. Yeah, the deposit was paid in December.
Okay.
Are they saying they don't have it, or?
No, they just never follow up. So it was on them to contact you guys for a credit card, and I'm just glad that happened.
Colby, let us run that down. We'll call
Okay.
it today, just to like ease everyone's mind that we have that date set on their calendar, because that would be a problem. We did pay it, but if they're not always that organized. So let's confirm that
Okay.
you guys are completely all set.
Great, because we have the signed contract, but right, I'm with you. It doesn't feel definite yet for whatever reason.
It's a little loosey-goosey with that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? So if there are questions, I just kind of want to know, like, I think it'd be helpful to know who they, when to contact us versus you, David Hanson. And as much as possible, we'd like to, kind of take off some of the questions that you might receive. But when it comes to a PA reimbursement, contact me or Dave Kleintobe, who's on this call. His email address is really easy to remember. If you have any questions about PA reimbursements, it's PA_treasurer@branson.org. Or just email me. And then when it comes to like vendor payments, vendor contracts, I think to contact David Hanson or Mackenzie. I mean, who should they be contacting?
You can always contact me or Mackenzie. We're interchangeable with regard to that, and so we'll both help you out, whoever you can reach.
Okay. And then all of this information again is going to be posted on the PA tile, where you have the reimbursement form listed there, the guide to reimbursements. I'm going to post this video recording, and we're also going to post a vendor list where we've kind of pulled out the vendors that you might encounter, as you plan your events. We'll put that on there. And again, you're not limited to using those. If you want to use a new one, just work with the business office and they will help you track down that W-9 so that you can use that vendor.